OG Anunoby has been one of the most coveted players on the trade market all season. At first glance, it doesn't make sense for the Raptors to trade a 25-year-old player with such a bright future ahead of him. But with Toronto being such a massive disappointment with a miserable 23-30 record, there being too many mouths to feed within the Raptors offense, and with OG set to hit free agency in the summer of 2024, now feels like the perfect time for Toronto to cash in on OG Anunoby. Several teams have interest, but the Knicks have long been ruled the favorite to land OG in a trade. Armed with several intriguing young players and a boatload of draft picks, the Knicks have the assets to get a trade done. The Knicks have played admirably this season, but they've played inconsistent basketball all year, often going from long winning streaks to long losing streaks. OG is an elite two-way player, and he can be the needle mover that makes the Knicks a force in the East. One of the top areas where OG Anunoby can improve the Knicks is on a defensive end. OG is one of the best defenders in the league, and he really thrives as both an on and off ball defender. On the season, he's leading the league in total steals per game, and deflections per game. OG does a really good job of playing the passing lanes and using those long arms of his to rack up those steals and deflections. And he also gets plenty of steals from outright picking his man's pockets, which often turns into a dunk on the other end. He's also one of the best man-to-man defenders, where he's not only got the lateral speed to stay in front of small, fast players, but he's also got the size and strength to guard the bigger wing players. For the Knicks, an elite defender like OG would be just what the doctor ordered. The Knicks were playing good defense earlier in the year, but they've really slipped in recent games, and now they're down to just 17th in defensive rating on the season. Thibodeau called out the Knicks' lack of defense in a recent loss to the Lakers, where they gave up 129 points. The Knicks have some good defensive pieces, but they really lack a defender that can cover some of the bigger wings in the NBA. Quentin Grimes has been the Knicks' best perimeter defender, and he's been good. But at 6'5", he really lacks the size for guarding the big wing players like Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic. At 6'7", with a monster 7'2" wingspan, OG has the physical profile needed to defend those type of players. Adding OG could help move the Knicks from a middle-of-the-pack defensive team to back in the top 10 where they belong. And while OG is known mainly for his defense, he'll also help the Knicks on the offensive end. OG is a good three-point shooter where he's knocking down just under 37% of his threes on 5 attempts per game. The Knicks have really struggled with three-point shooting as a team, where they only rank 24th in the league, shooting the three ball at only 34%. So this is an area where OG could help. He would also give the Knicks some much-needed shot creation. On the season, he's averaging 17 points per game on an efficient 46% shooting, which is impressive considering he has to share the ball with several other scorers like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Gary Trent Jr. OG Anunoby isn't an elite shot creator by any means, but he's got the ability to put the ball on the floor and drive to the hoop, and he can also create for himself in the mid-range. The Knicks offense would definitely benefit from having another player who could create their own shot efficiently. When you look at what OG brings on both ends of the floor, trading for him seems like a no-brainer. According to some recent reports, the Knicks are prepared to offer 3 first-round picks for OG, and while that sounds like a lot, it's important to remember that the Knicks own 11 first-round picks within the next 7 years, so they can part with 3 while still having the ammo for another big move. In this hypothetical trade, let's say the Knicks give Toronto Derrick Rose's expiring contract, along with Cam Reddish and 3 first-round picks for OG. Maybe besides for Cam, Toronto wants Obi Toppin, but more or less, I would imagine the trade would look something like this. After this trade, you're probably wondering who does OG replace in the starting lineup, because the Knicks aren't trading any starters to Toronto. Your first inclination might be Quentin Grimes, but in reality, it would benefit the Knicks more for OG to replace RJ Barrett in the starting lineup. It would be a bad look to bench a number 3 overall pick, especially after you just gave him a big extension, but it just makes the most basketball sense. RJ is averaging 20 points per game this year, but he's been inefficient with just a 43% field goal percentage. There's plenty of flashes of brilliance, but too many poor shooting nights. But more importantly, Barrett has been brutal on the defensive end. He lacks the quickness to guard fast players, and he way too often lacks awareness when playing off the ball, which often leads to other teams scoring easy points. Thibodeau showed his displeasure with RJ's poor defense by benching him in the closing minutes in a recent game against the Lakers. OG would not only give the Knicks a much better defender in the starting lineup, but a more efficient third option as well. This would likely crush RJ's ego, but he would probably play a lot better coming off the bench. And with OG Anunoby and Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup, the Knicks' perimeter defense will be worlds better. Overall, trading for OG Anunoby makes too much sense for the Knicks. Does he turn them into legit contenders? Probably not, but he can help transform the Knicks from just a barely above 500 team to a top 6 seed in the East and a true threat to get out of the first round. But now I want to hear from you guys. Do you want to see the Knicks go all in for OG Anunoby? Tell me in the comments. Guys, like the Knicks, I'm also trying to achieve greatness. I'm hoping to get to 15,000 subscribers before June, so please, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.